Then we'll look at the loss rate. Similarly, by the unit, we can have a unit loss rate, which is calculated based on number of loss divided by total number of accounts, or dollar loss rate, which is the dollar associated with the loss divided by the total portfolio balance. Loss is also called a charge-off, so loss rate can be also called a charge-off rate. Based on whether the loss is pre-recovery or post-recovery, so we can classify the loss as a gross loss rate. So that's the before the recovery. Okay, so when the account is recognized from accounting perspective as the bad debt, right, as a charge-off, so that amount can be used to calculate the loss rate. That's called a gross loss rate. Then post-recovery, meaning that you deduct the reversal of fees, the income. You also deduct the money collected after the event of a charge-off, which is recovery, right? So that's the net loss. This is how much a lender really loses on the account. So that loss rate based on the net loss is called the net loss rate. Then let's look at the loss rate calculation. First, for revolving credit, such as a credit card, you can look at the loss rate in a given month, right? So in this month, how much charge-off, how much loss happened? Use that divided by the balance in the given month. Okay, so but in a given month, you know, the loss could fluctuate. The balance could also fluctuate based on seasonality. So another way to look at the loss rate is to look at the average loss rate in the previous 12 months. So especially for a more mature portfolio, that makes more sense, right? You just aggregate all the losses in the previous 12 months. That's the sum of the 12 months loss divided by average balance in the previous 12 months. So this way you smooth out the seasonality, right? For example, for December, your balance will shoot up because more people will shop. That will artificially lower your loss rate. By using last 12 months, you get rid of that seasonality. If it's a new account, you don't have 12 months yet, what you can do is, for example, at month 7, you just look at the cumulative loss so far in the first 7 months. Okay, so in this example, let's say it's $0.6 million loss. Then you can also calculate the average balance in the first 7 months. Let's say it's 13.5 million. You get 4.44%. So that would be an annualized rate for this origination vintage in the first 7 months. Let's fast forward another 2 months, right? And month 9, now your cumulative loss is 1.6 million. Your average balance becomes 16.5 million. So then your annualized loss rate is 9.7%. You can see that there's a jump, right, in these 2 months. That's because typically for credit card, it takes about 6 months for the loss to surface, right? You have to go through the 6 months from cycle 1, cycle 2, all the way to cycle 6, then become charged off. So this is very typical that in the first half a year, you don't see the loss. But then you will see a ramp up, okay, in around month 7 to month 9. But afterwards, it will gradually come down. Okay, so that's the loss rate calculation for revolving credit. For installment loan, usually the loss rate is calculated as the cumulative loss amount divided by the original loan amount. Okay, so in this example, this is the actual performance from Lending Club. It's their 3-year or 36 months loan. You can see that different weightages, The earliest is 2009. You can see that time there's still the recession, a great financial crisis. That's the reason the cumulative loss rate is the highest, almost to 9%. So you lose 9% of the loan you extended out in the year of 2009. Okay. Then the economy is getting better. That's probably also the adjustment of the strategy. So you can see in year 2010, the red line, it drops quite a bit, right? 2011, so it's a yellow line, even lower. Then 2012, okay, it goes back up, right? That's probably because when you see the lower loss rate, Lending Club adjusted their origination policy, so opening up, right, through the strategies. Then in 2013, so the vintage loss curve also came down. Okay, so this helps you to observe your latest vintage performance versus historical years, and you can make some comparisons, so make some adjustments accordingly.